South American Tourism Office welcomes you to Ecuador. This little country is named after its location on the equator. It's the smallest of the Andean countries, but despite its size, it's quite distinguished by how diverse its geography is. SATO invites you to take a look at what Ecuador has to offer in all its different regions. So when's the best time to travel to Ecuador? Well, as mentioned before, due to its position being on the equator, this actually stabilizes the temperature year round, so there's never a bad time to visit. The capital city of Quito is in the highland regions where temperatures are a pleasant 20 degrees C. The Amazon region, however, is hot and humid all year round, as you would imagine, with a slightly wetter season in April and June. But then again, it is a rainforest, so expect rain all year round. You'll find it's quite refreshing from the humidity, but it does fall. When it falls, it falls. The Galapagos, now they're 1,000 kilometers off the coast in the Pacific Ocean. Although not tropical, temperatures can range between 21 and 30 degrees. So warm and wet for the first part of the year, January to June, although the showers are short, and cooler and drier the second part of the year to November. But then nature lover enthusiasts sometimes time their visit around popular breeding seasons. For example, July is active for the seabirds, in particular the blue-footed booby mating dance, or maybe you want to see the pupping of the sea lions between August and November. So how do we get there? Well, LATAM Airlines and Qantas both have direct services to Santiago in Chile. There's a flight time of around 14 hours from Sydney and Melbourne. LATAM also have direct services from Auckland, New Zealand of 11 hours, all with good connections from other regional cities, of course. From Santiago, there are direct services to Quito or Guayaquil of around 5.5 hours. If you're travelling to the Galapagos, you would then fly from or through Guayaquil to the small island of Baltra. That's another 1.5 hours. Now, Baltra consists of just an airport building, and the three-letter code is GPS. If you're travelling to the Amazon, there's a quick flight of 50 minutes on the airline TAME, that's T-A-M-E. That's from Quito, and this takes you to the small town of Coca on the Napo River. Now, a trip to Ecuador is not complete if a visit is not made to the Galapagos archipelago. So let's start with our favourite. Located almost 1,000 kilometres from the Ecuadorian continental coastline, Galapagos are made up of 13 large islands, 17 smaller ones and 47 rocky islets. The archipelago covers an area of 8,000 square kilometres. The Galapagos Islands rank among the world's most extraordinary wildlife destinations. Due to the archipelago's isolation over time, this has allowed species to evolve amid the stark volcanic landscapes into new and apparently strange life forms that exist nowhere else on the planet. And on top of that, the creatures you will encounter are virtually fearless of humans. It's truly a magical place. It's almost like a Disney movie. The islands were discovered in 1535 by Brother Thomas de Balanga. It was declared a national park in 1959, and the province of Galapagos was legally created in 1973, and it was declared a natural heritage of humanity by UNESCO in 1979. Each year, tourists flock to the islands, attracted by the natural surroundings and the unique flora and fauna, often not found anywhere else in the world. So how's the best way to see the Galapagos? Well, most people prefer to cruise. The experience of cruising the islands depends on the type of vessel chosen. So you might go for a small boat, a motored yacht or a large ship. The largest capacity is around 90 passengers. Each offer a different experience. Cruises can last anything from 3 to 14 nights. The environment is informal and itineraries are planned so that 2 or more visits can be made daily to the islands. When you land on the Galapagos, there are two types of landings. There's the dry landing, where the small boats, the Zodiacs, transporting the tourists from the larger ships to the island, they anchor among the rustic docks. And then there's the wet landings, where the boats almost reach the shore and tourists have to disembark while still in the water. So you're going to get your feet wet. Of course, cruising is not everybody's cup of tea. The award-winning Finch Bay Hotel lies just steps from the beach in a secluded location just across the bay from Puerto Ayora on the island of Santa Cruz. And guests there cherish the hotel's privacy, its beautiful natural surroundings. It's got a lovely swimming pool, fine dining, superb service. There's so many ways for guests to make the most of their visit to the Finch Bay Galapagos Hotel, whether they just enjoy the hotel itself, designing their own adventures, or choosing one of the carefully curated programs. Let's have a look at the Galapagos wildlife. The Galapagos Islands are known as the platform that inspired Darwin's theory of evolution, and rightly so. The wildlife have adapted, even thrived in one of the harshest and most isolated environments on the planet. And as a result, the Galapagos is home to the highest concentration of endemic animals. Whether you go island hopping or you cruise the Galapagos, you're bound to see some of these unique animals. When talking about wildlife in the Galapagos, most people picture the iconic giant tortoises. Fun fact, the islands were actually named after the giant tortoises, hence the Spanish term Galápago, meaning tortoise. They are currently the largest living species of tortoise. They weigh up to 417 kilograms and can live to beyond 100 years old. Blue-footed boobies are one of the 3 booby species found on the Galapagos. They are large, distinctive birds found along the eastern Pacific coastline, where they often nest on small islands with rocky coasts. Their name actually comes from the Spanish word bobo, meaning foolish or clown, and this actually refers to the way that they move around on the land quite clumsily. This is because of their most distinctive characteristic, their big blue feet. But these blue feet actually play an important role in their courtship, because the females are thought to select the males with the brightest feet. The beautiful Galapagos sea lion is probably one of the first animals that you're going to see upon arrival, and they're recognisable by their grey or their brown fur and can be found year round, just hanging about, resting on the beaches, having a little play. Their curiosity and their playful nature are always such a highlight for visitors. Pupping season starts around August, and later in the year those curious little pups love to play aqua aerobics next to the snorkelers. The beautiful, if you can call it beautiful, Galapagos marine iguana is known for its extraordinary ability to forage at sea, but also live on land. In fact, it's the only lizard in the planet known to have this unique characteristic. They're typically found basking in the sun on the rocky shorelines of the islands, in particular Isabela, Española, Santa Cruz, amongst others. Marine iguanas are recognisable by their short, blunt noses and flat tails. And the young marine iguanas are black, and they change colour as they mature, depending on which island they're from. The magnificent frigate bird has several nicknames. Charles Darwin called them the condor of the oceans because they can spend days and nights at a time on the wing and have an exceptionally large wingspan. In fact, the largest wingspan to body weight ratio of any bird in the world. This body shape gives them exceptional aerial manoeuvrability and allows them to glide on thermals for days at a time. The Spanish would call them pirate birds and man-o'-wars due to their habit of stealing food from other birds. Sally Lightfoot crabs are brightly coloured coastal scavengers found in the Galapagos Islands and across the western coast of South and Central America. They have an extremely generalistic diet, feeding on anything from sea lion placenta to other crabs. They are rumoured to have been named after a Caribbean dancer due to their ability in jumping from rock to rock and their ability to run in 4 directions, and their capacity to climb up vertical slopes. Thanks to their preference to shaded rocky areas of the islands, the Galapagos fur seal is less likely to be seen, despite having actually the same population as the Galapagos sea lion. They're very similar in appearance to the sea lion. However, there are some key differences for telling them apart. Fur seals are generally smaller, with a broader, shorter heads, and they've got bulging eyes and ears that protrude more than the sea lions, and the larger front flippers that aid in climbing the rockier ground. The biggest difference is probably in their coat, which is much thicker than that of the sea lions. And the Galapagos green turtle. They are the only species of sea turtle to nest in the Galapagos, with some females returning several times to lay their eggs, and are almost the most common species sighted. They live in the tropical and subtropical waters around the Pacific Islands, differing from other marine turtles by their serrated lower jaw and a single pair of scales covering their eyes. Adults are primarily vegetarians, while juveniles are more opportunist, eating almost anything. But you know, it's not just about the wildlife. There are many superb photo opportunities other than the wildlife. From the red-coloured beaches of Rabida Island, the golden beaches of Bartholomew, the imposing Pinnacle Rock, the rocky plateaus, or beautiful rugged volcanic shorelines. So when visiting the Galapagos, there'll be plenty of opportunities to get out, in, or under the water. You can kayak, snorkel, there'll be zodiac trips and plenty of land-based walks as well. This holiday will be the trip of a lifetime and an absolute unforgettable experience. The Galapagos. Heading east, the traveller arrives in one of the most beautiful and unspoilt regions of Ecuador, the Ecuadorian Amazon. It's one of the most easily accessible jungle zones in South America and a real haven for nature lovers. The Amazon region covers nearly 2/3 of the country's total area, and it is a wilderness that remains largely unexplored to this day. For the ultimate rainforest experience, let's start with the highly recommended Mashpi Lodge. Now, Mashpi Lodge is a luxury cocoon in the clouds, just 3 hours drive northwest of Ecuador's capital of Quito. This sophisticated and strikingly contemporary lodge is designed as the ideal springboard for exploring the biodiverse world of its reserve. It's essentially a hideaway in the clouds. Mashpi Lodge offers views of the forested mountains on one side and the forest right up close on the other side, because they have these beautiful floor-to-ceiling glass windows. They actually have many night and day activities offered, including the aerial tram. Spectacular. Our journey takes us to the small frontier town of Coca on the Napo River in the heart of the Yasuni National Park. We love the Manatee Amazon Explorer and sister ship Anaconda. They boast over 20 years experience in Amazon riverboat cruises in Ecuador, and these exclusively designed ships offer all the necessary creature comforts while still being a really exciting jungle adventure. Or alternatively, you might prefer an intimate and comfortable land-based jungle experience in one of the many eco-lodges we have to offer. Perfect way to soak up the rainforest ambience and the perfect haven for nature lovers, bird watchers, scientists and adventure seekers. Here you see the Napo Wildlife Centre and the Sasha Lodge. There are 150 species of amphibians found in the Yasuni National Park, as well as 121 reptile species, 382 known fish species, 596 species of birds, 300 mammal species, including the squirrel monkey here, 117 bat species, and over 100,000 insects. Ooh. The beautiful and vibrant birds include macaws, parrots, hawks, and the great harpy eagles. And the great rivers of this region are home to caimans, freshwater river dolphins, piranhas, catfish, and giant river otters. There are always plenty of daily activities in the jungle, including canopy walks, canoe rides, jungle treks, or just getting to know the locals. It's well worth a trip to the Ecuadorian Amazon. Next stop, the Andes Highland. A great way to discover the Andes Highland is by train, and we have a fabulous tour aboard the luxurious Tren Crucero that climbs 3,600 meters into the opposing Andes mountain range. Now, this is considered the most difficult railway in the world because this includes the thrill of the dramatic Devil's Nose Pass. There's also lots of other things on this journey, the tropics following the Chun Chun River, as well as the stunning variation of the vegetation. On this trip, you're actually going to be in roughly the geographical center of Ecuador. Quito, Ecuador's capital. It sits high in the Andean foothills at an altitude of 2,850 meters, and few cities have a setting to match that of Quito. The second highest capital in Latin America after La Paz, Bolivia, Quito was an Inca city discovered by the Spaniards in 1534, and its charm lies in its colonial center with the steep and narrowed cobbled streets. Constructed on the foundations of an ancient Incan city, Quito is known for its well-preserved colonial centre. It's rich with 16th and 17th century churches and other structures blending European, Moorish and indigenous styles. These include the cathedral in the Plaza Grand Square and the ultra-ornate Compañía de Jesús Jesuit Church. Out of the city, visitors marvel at the middle of the world monument or travel out along the Pan American Highway through dramatic mountain scenery to the famous Otavelo markets. I would suggest that you make sure you have plenty of extra room in your suitcase. So where to stay in Quito? Well, our favourite and most people's favourite hotel in Quito is the Casa Gangotena. This is a classic boutique hotel with a luxury of a bygone era. It's rich in history and it's situated right in the heart of Quito's old town. Another favourite is the Hosteria Rincón de Puembo. This beautiful property sits in a tranquil setting just 15 minutes from the airport and about half an hour from the financial capital. But its real charm is enhanced by its really beautiful, exotic, lush gardens. It's got lots of architecture and history, water fountains and art. This is really a great option at the end of any itinerary in Ecuador, as you are that close to the airport. So we've come to the end of our trip around Ecuador. Thank you for your time, and a little reminder here, the Panama hat originated in Ecuador. So we encourage you to travel with the locals. That's us, South American Tourism Office. We are based in Melbourne, and you can contact us by telephone on 1300 857 805, website www.southamericatourism.com, or by email reservations@sthamerica.com. Gracias. We hope to see you soon.